you think this is a problem for the president?
It's too wily for that, far too elusive.
Do you believe this could be a cover-up?
So you think now is the time to have this policy debate?
The full story needs to be drawn out.
Is this new big wall going to stop Mexicans from coming to the U.S.?
Tracked down and boxed in.
There appears to be a clash between police and counter-protesters.
The full story is a long, long way from the headline.
You can see that.
And that's the distance we cover.
Well, we were all distracted by Devin Nunes's memo about the investigation into Donald Trump's connection to Russia. A member of the Trump administration was actually meeting with Russia's two top spies right here in the United States. The Washington Post reported on Wednesday that CIA Director Mike Pompeo met last week with the heads of Russia's intelligence and espionage agencies, who traveled to Washington for what the Post called an unusual visit. The report says they talked about counterterrorism. And a third Russian spy chief, the head of Russia's military intelligence, was also in Washington, though it remains unclear whether he and Pompeo met. Joining me now is MSNBC national security analyst Frank Figliuzzi, and Malcolm and Naveed are still with me. Frank, I want to start with you on that. Your take on, while Donald Trump is refusing to implement sanctions, his administration says they don't need to do it, that the Sanctions Act passed by Congress, just it being passed is enough, and at the moment they are declining to issue sanctions. While The Guardian and BuzzFeed are both reporting that a name and shame list that was supposed to be a part of this whole sanctions regime, a list of Russian oligarchs, was, as they say, binned in The Guardian's terms by a top official, a name and shame list of Russian oligarchs who made their money corruptly from their ties to Vladimir Putin, was compiled by U.S. government agencies, but then canceled last week by a senior administration official. According to a Russia expert who was consulted on the list, it was replaced by an all-inclusive list of rich Russians, apparently copied straight from the Forbes magazine ranking of wealthy Russians, together with the names of some top Kremlin officials. So scotching the proper list, replacing it with a cut and paste from Forbes, not implementing sanctions, meeting with Russian spies. What does all that say to you?
To say the least, it means that this administration's not taking sanctions seriously. So let's dig beneath that and what that really means. It means they're sending a signal to Moscow that we're really welcoming you with open arms. We're really looking for a relationship here because there's something underlying this special rapport that our president has with you. So when we see someone like the head of the Russian SVR visiting Washington, D.C., meeting with our CIA director, when that individual himself is under sanction, what we're saying to Russia is, look, we have to play this game, but we're playing a game with you, and you're welcome here. I can tell you historically what's happened in the past with individuals who are heads of Russian intelligence service who are problematic. The CIA director or the FBI director will either travel to Moscow if they must meet, or to a neutral location like Vienna or Switzerland, and they'll have this necessary discussion. That's okay. The heads of intelligence services meeting, discussing important counterterrorism information, beautiful. The signal that's being sent, however, here is clearly that we're buddies, nothing's wrong, I'm okay, you're okay, keep up the good work.
I mean, Malcolm, your hair must be on fire. I mean, we've been talking for over a year now. I feel like what is it, a year and a half we've been talking about Russia's direct interference in the election. The administration has done nothing to counter that, nothing about it, won't even admit it happened. And now they are meeting with Russia's top spies in Washington who are supposed to be under sanction. What in the world is this about?
17 months, if you want to be accurate, Joy. We've been at this. You know, this week my hair was on fire because I think what we are looking at right now is the beginning of the next scandal. The directors of the CIA, Director of National Intelligence, just do not decide out of the clear blue sky to sit down and meet with the head of the FSB, the Russia's clandestine service, the SVR, and have the head of Russian military intelligence in the country, all three of whom did the hacking against the United States. They formulated it and executed for Vladimir Putin. That being said, at some point there was a communication, whether it was direct or indirect, between the office of Donald Trump and the office of Vladimir Putin, and they said, let's get together for a counterterrorism conference, let's do it in Washington, and as Frank said, we're all buddies here, we're on the same team, no matter what everybody else thinks, and Donald Trump personally authorized this meeting in the United States. There is no question that that's what happened. The key part here is, why does he keep doing that? What is the underlying reason Donald Trump keeps reaching his hand out to Moscow and seems to have no problem with dealing with their intelligence agencies and the people that attacked this country? Is it because he just doesn't believe it happened and that everything should go forward? Or is this all part of a very long-term plan between Moscow and Donald Trump to keep these relations open, to get those sanctions lifted? This needs to be investigated. You don't bring the top 3 spy masters of Moscow to the United States without Donald Trump personally ordering his entire staff to do it.
And, Naveed, when you talk about this needs to be investigated, that brings up Congress. You've dealt with, members of Congress on these kinds of issues. The list, this really joke of a list, I mean, just copying and pasting from Forbes rather than the proper list that is supposed to relate directly to sanctions, is a slap in the face to Congress. It is a humiliation of Congress. Refusing to implement the sanctions is a humiliation of Congress, which passed this law. Faithfully execute the laws is supposed to be part of the oath that the President of the United States takes. Chuck Schumer has already said he's demanding to know. He wants an explanation as to how the head of Moscow's foreign intelligence, Sergei Naryshkin, I probably pronounced his name wrong, was allowed to enter the United States besides there being sanctions on him. At what point do you expect Republicans in Congress who have the power to order these investigations to finally wake up and realize they themselves are being humiliated by this White House on behalf of Moscow?
I mean, simply at this rate, not until after 2018 elections until they're voted out. I mean, that's the reality of it. I don't think they ever will. Look, and it's just stupid. I mean, the reality is that what can Russia really help us with counterterrorism, which is sort of the cover story for this? I mean, there is no reason. I mean, as Frank was saying, look, when it comes to Russia, after everything they've done, I mean, what we need to do is send a very clear and strong message. When we're talking about the 2018 elections, yes, we can talk about cybersecurity and hardening voting machines and all that other stuff. The reality, though, is the best defense against this is to send a clear message to Russia that it is not in their best interest to interfere with our elections. This isn't doing that.
Yeah.
This is saying, you're on a sanction list, don't sweat it, come on over. I mean, it is a complete, 180 here.
Okay, yeah, we're out of time. It's extraordinary to think the same president who invited the Russian foreign minister et al. Into the Oval Office right away. He doesn't seem to be afraid of the optics of his closeness to Russia. Yeah.
Joy, real quick, the Russians were the one who released the information on this
right.
meeting, by the way.
Absolutely. It's extraordinary. It's the only way we find out about his meetings with them. Frank will be back. Malcolm, Nance, Naveed Jamali. Wow. Thank you guys very much. 17 months in, we're still going. Coming up, the man who put Devin Nunes in a position of power. That's next.
A storied national treasure.
Do you believe it?
Phil, Jordan, and Dustin look to write another chapter. The AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, Thursday on Golf Channel.
Today, smart planning is helping the new New York rise higher than ever. As the world leader in unmanned aerial systems, we're attracting the world's best talent to central New York and turning the airport into a first-class transportation hub. All while growing urban areas into vibrant places to live and work. Across New York State, we're building the new New York. To grow your business with us in New York State, visit esd.ny.gov.
Hi, I'm John Florell, the Fuller Brush Man, knocking on your screen with another amazing product to help you clean. Introducing Pain Doctor from the Fuller Brush Company, the fast, easy way to take the pain of cleaning glass surfaces away. Now you can clean windows, mirrors, glass, and so much more, inside or out, streak-free, spot-free, and chemical-free. All you need is a little H2O, and away you go. Plus, with the wedge-shaped design and the 360 swivel handle, the Pain Doctor will reach into tight corners like your windshield and even your dash to clean it fast. The secret's in the miracle